What's the most significant detail in the allocation draw of that first semi-final, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, we have a lot of countries in that first semi-final who have the 100% track record, the qualification record. I think there's 4 of them, and what is even more interesting is that they're all in the first, well, not all of them, but a lot of big hitters are in the first half of the semi-final. So when you look at the past, and when you look at draws, we don't just look at which countries in which semi-final, of course, but also now we draw in halves. And the running order, of course, in Eurovision is important. And then we always tend to look at, generally, in the second half of the show, more songs qualify. But now when you have so many countries that generally do qualify in the first half, maybe it will be vice versa in this semi-final. Countries like Russia, Greece.
Yeah, and you can also mention, when you talk about these countries that have the 100% track record of qualifying, we also have Azerbaijan and Bosnia-Herzegovina. 4 out of the 6 nations that have that amazing track record are in the first semi-final this year.
Yeah, it's a slightly stronger semi-final, I would say, because of the 4-2 thing, but also if you look at some other countries, of course, there are also a couple of countries with a weaker record in this semi-final. San Marino, Czech Republic. I'll tell a little bit more later about that. But yeah, 4 countries that have always qualified. Of course, not all of those countries are the same, and not. I mean, for me, if I look at Greece and Russia, I'm much more confident in saying that they have a good chance of qualifying this year as well than when I'm looking at Azerbaijan and Bosnia.
How important are these statistics about countries that qualify based on their result, or is it not important at all? Is it in the end always about the songs and the total package?
It is always about the song and about the total package. Statistics are important. Statistics will not make you qualify for the final, but statistics are important if you want to try to estimate how good an entry is going to be. Of course, we are in the part of the season where we don't know all the songs yet, we don't know all the total packages yet, and we're still speculating. And then if you look at those statistics, then that proves to me, if you look at the track record of Greece, not only have they always qualified, but they've never finished below place 7 in a semi-final. That proves to me that they have always managed to come up with a great entry. Russia as well. And then that's also why I made the difference between those 2 countries and Azerbaijan and Bosnia, for example, because yes, they have also always qualified, but the last 2 years Azerbaijan was, I think, 9th and 10th in the semis, so they just barely qualified. Bosnia did not participate for a couple of years because they didn't have the money to come up with something great. Now they do, or they claim that they do, but I'm not entirely convinced that they do have a great track record, but you never know. Maybe now this year they come up with something less good and they won't qualify, and it can easily happen. It can happen to Greece and Russia as well, but I somehow think because of the results that they've had and the way they take the competition so seriously, and of course the name of Sergei Lazarev in Russia that we've already heard, that they're going to send one of their biggest stars, I have the feeling that they're going to come up with something as good this year again.
It is the smaller semi-final with 18 countries taking part. Is that a positive sign for the smaller countries that have a bad track record, like Croatia in recent years, like the Netherlands, like San Marino, who are all in this first semi-final? Czech Republic, of course, they never qualified.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, if you are one of those countries, and if your main goal, or at least your first goal, is to qualify for the final, then you're scrapping off countries off your list. That's the way you do it. You think, I'm in this semi-final, I have 18 countries, not 19. In both semi-finals, of course, 10 countries qualify. So that means if you have one country less, then you have one country less to beat. And then if you look at the list and you see San Marino, you see Czech Republic, Netherlands, Croatia, you mentioned them, then you might say, again, because of those track records, maybe there is a bigger chance that those countries again will come up with something less good. And then if they do, then that's one less song you have to beat. And in that sense, yes, the difference between 18 and 19, it's another country that you don't have to beat to qualify, and you're one step closer to the finish line if that's the main goal.
Furthermore, it's hard to say something about that first semi-final because we don't know the songs yet. We only know the song from Malta. They're in the second semi-final. Do they have a chance to qualify?
Well, I mean, Ira Losko, of course, now is going from Malta. We've seen the national final last weekend. ESC Daily was there. Our editor, Brandon McCann, was there. Followed Ira, of course, very closely. not only because she had a good chance to win, but also because she previously participated for Malta, finished as runner-up in Eurovision. That means that she's a good singer. That means that she's a big name. She has some stage experience, and she is a good performer. And I'm not entirely convinced by this song. I've heard it now only just a couple times, but it doesn't appeal to me that much. But the fact that she is so good, and the fact that she's in the second part of the semi-final, that she's going to perform in the second half, adding those two together, you would have to say that, of course, she has a chance of qualifying for the final.